It's good to be back here, guys, behind the mic, to be back on the podcast. If you guys have kind of maybe been wondering where I've been, I've been away, been on vacation, much needed getaway to Florida. So it was a good time, good to kind of get away, but at the same time, I knew that there was going to be some things to get on here and talk about. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you've had a great trip, but then, you know, that feeling, if you guys go on vacation, where it's like, yeah, I'm kind of ready to head back home. I'm ready to get back. And then it's also kind of like the same time, you're having a good time and stuff like that, and you don't want to leave. And so, like, when I go to Florida, I visit my my best friend and his family, and, you know, we do stuff. So it's always hard leaving that, but it's also good to kind of be back and be back kind of in your comfort zone. Good to be back in this type of fall weather, as fall is in the air, as I like to say that because it bothers my girlfriend. She hates when I say that, but she came along with me, and she had a blast her first time down in Florida, so it was really nice to be able to go and enjoy ourselves and enjoy spending time with our friends and stuff like that. You guys also have not noticed, I haven't been on the Unofficial Steelers Podcast because of that. So if you were kind of wondering where my absence has been, I know Daniel and Mark probably explained that as they recorded their shows. But we're going to be on there tomorrow. Well, actually, I was on there this Wednesday. We had to move it to Wednesday. So if you guys were there, you caught me there. If not, that was on Mark's channel, Steelers Nation Australia. So give him a follow. Saturday's show is going to be on Daniel's channel because I'm going to be we're going to be away in South Carolina this weekend and into early next week. I'm visiting family. So I'm still going to be on the show, just going to have a little bit of a different environment, little different environment, little different background behind me. But that's going to be on Daniel's show tomorrow, State of the Steelers. We'll kind of be talking about the Eagles game coming up, so you guys want to check that out. It's always a great listen, always a great watch. We feed off each other really well, different perspectives, different personalities, so you guys want to check that out. And it will also be on mine on Tuesday, I believe. But really what I want to get on here and talk about is, what are you guys, and I'll kind of put my thoughts out there. What are you guys looking for the rest of this Steelers season? What are things, and you guys can let me know in the comment section. We know where this team is, right? But what are you guys personally excited to still watch? What are you guys looking out for the rest of this year? What are things that you're interested in that might catch your eye as the Steelers season starts to hit the second half mark and into the rest of the year, even in the next season? So whatever your guys' thoughts are, let me know in the comment section. We'll love to know, and that's kind of why I wanted to get on here and just kind of talk about, because we know where the state of the team is. You know, we don't really need to dive in too much as to why things are this, things are that. So many people talk about that. So I wanted to just kind of ask you guys, and even ask myself, what is it that you guys are still interested in for the rest of the Steelers season? Not just because you're a Steeler fan and you want to watch them and stuff like that. Absolutely. What are some key things, though? Certain players, certain things might happen, certain games. What are those things that you can sit there and say, I'm looking out for this, or I'm watching for that. I want to see how this transitions the rest of the year. I want to see how this goes from this year into next year. So really a few things that I can put out, and there might be a couple obvious ones. But I think really my number one thing, well, maybe my 1B, I should say, is now TJ Watt practiced this week, and he might play Sunday. It's not for sure yet. So whether he plays this Sunday or comes after their bye week against the Saints at home, I'm very intrigued to see how this defense plays with him back. Because when he played week 1 against the Bengals, his defense went off. They had, 6-7 sacks, 5 interceptions or so, or 5 turnovers. They played crazy, and it was probably the best Steelers defensive performance in quite a while. So when we were watching that, we're like, yep, this is what we want to see from this defense this year. This is what we expect. And I think the Steelers expected that this year's defense to be like that. And I think us fans, a lot of us expected their defense to get back to where they were in 2020 and 2019. 'Cause they do, and it's they have a good foundation defensively with Minka, with TJ Watt. They bring in a guy like Miles Jack. Cameron Hayward. We know Cam's getting a little bit older, but he's still a leader. He's still a strong part of that defense. And so that's a great thing to have. Terrell Edmunds has had the best year of his career this year. But the concerning thing to me is that with TJ Watt being out, when he got hurt, this defense is just awful. So I think we would all expect, yes, this defense would probably take a step back with Watt being out because of how important, how impactful he is. But really, to this degree, that's a very big concern for me. So how is this defense going to be when Watt comes back? Are we going to see this defense start to kind of revert back to being strong again? Which is crazy because of just one guy. Like, are we really going to see this defense generate pressure again and get the quarterback on his ass and making plays and stuff because TJ Watt alone is back? That's a pretty crazy thing. TJ Watt's great. He's arguably the best defensive player in the league. He's one of the most valuable players in this league for any defense he's on. But the fact that him alone was gone and now this defense can't generate pressure, can't get to the quarterback, or this defense is on pace for 29 sacks, which is their lowest since 1988, that's insanity, man. So I'm very intrigued to see how this defense is going to revert when he's back in that lineup. When he comes back, are we going to start seeing consistent pressure? Are we going to start seeing these other guys that really have been irrelevant this year or haven't been as consistent get to that mold again with Watt being back? Or are we going to kind of see, we'll see a little better, but we're still seeing those main problems? I don't know. Because Alex Highsmith, we know he's top 5 or so in sacks, but he's not a consistent guy that's generating pressure. Cam Hayward's not. He hasn't been. Larry Ogunjobi hasn't been, though he's been a solid signing, I think, for them in general, but he hasn't. Malik Reed, who they traded for, has been invisible. He's been irrelevant. So that's kind of a big thing I'm looking at. But really, it's just concerning to me how bad and putrid their defense has been just because TJ Watt's out. Because they have Minka Fitzpatrick, who's had a good year. He can't do everything, but Cam Hayward hasn't really been off the charts. Some people might think that his age might be creeping up, right? Like I said, Terrell Edmunds has had a good year, but these cornerbacks, and some of it's injury-related too, but these corners haven't really stood out so far. Like Cam Sutton has had some good plays, but Levi Wallace, I mean, he's always kind of been, a solid number 2 guy, which is fine. Kello Witherspoon has kind of struggled, but he's been injured. Devin Bush, sure, you can say he's better than last year, but by what bar? You have Robert Spillane freaking in coverage, guarding Stephon Diggs. I mean, what the hell is that? So there's, even when Watt comes back, there's obviously things that they're going to need to do this offseason. But how much better are we going to see the defense get back to with TJ Watt being back? I'm interested in that. The other thing that's probably my number one thing, and I think probably mostly everybody's, is Kenny Pickett's growth. Kenny Pickett, we know, has been, he's shown good things. He's shown some good NFL professional throws. He's used his legs. He's very confident. He's great in terms of his reaction in the pocket. He's very accurate. A lot of his throws are very accurate. But we know that he's been turned over the ball. He's been prone to that. He's had some rookie mistakes, some rookie mishaps. And I think Kenny's going to grow pretty well as this year goes on. I think that not just that, every player, whenever a player faces adversity or things like that, they get better from that. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying just the fact of his leadership, his competitiveness, his drive. You can see that as he plays. You can see that when you listen to him. And I think that he's going to really learn from his mistakes. That I 100% believe that he wants to be the best he can be. And that's what you want to hear. He's got the leadership qualities that you want in a quarterback. He's got the integrity. He's got the passion. He's got the fire. And I think when you have a guy like that, in terms of their growth at a young age, you're going to see that jump. And as this year goes on, I think we're going to see good progression. I think we're going to look at Kenny's first few starts, And then we're going to look at the second half and be like, oh, yeah, you can definitely see those jumps. You can definitely see that growth. You can see him taking that next step. I definitely think we're going to see that just because of his competitiveness, because of his fire that he has. And that's why these little Steeler fans that you see on Twitter, on the internet, that want to give up on him after 3 games, or that have soured on him, or have already labeled him something, you guys are part of the problem. You need to get this idea of Big Ben out of your head. You need to get this idea that this young quarterback that they took in the first round is going to automatically jump in there, and that you should that you're expecting great things, and that you're expecting veteran-like decisions from him. Get that out of your head. Get it out. I know that you haven't been in this purgatory for 18 years, and maybe you might have just watched Ben your whole career. But get that out of your head. That's not fair to Kenny, and every team goes through this process. Every quarterback's been a rookie at some point. There's been a lot of times where rookie quarterbacks have been shaky, or have struggled, or have been bad, have been so-so, and as they continue to grow, they flourish. And I can go on the last 10 years. I can name quarterbacks over the last 10 years where we've seen that. Or sometimes quarterbacks come in right away and are ready to go, right? They still have their mistakes, sure, but they've matured pretty well. Kenny is a guy where he's definitely got pro-ready-like qualities. That's why he was labeled as a pro-ready quarterback. But he's still going to have his faults. He's still going to have his downfalls. But he's still going to have good things. He's still going to have exciting plays he makes. So you got to let him grow. You got to let him respond. You got to let him learn from those things, because that's the only way an athlete's going to grow. That's the only way you as a person's going to grow. When you stumble, when you fail, when you fall, that's the only way you're going to grow. And you look back and say, okay, what went wrong here? What are we going to do when next time this situation happens? What are we going to respond with? That's the only way he does. So these little Steeler fans that already want to label Kenny Pickett something, you guys are part of the problem. And how about you just get out of the fan base? I could care less what you have to say. So I'm excited to see him as this season continues to go on. And I do think this team's going to have a strong second half, even if they lose Sunday. I still think they'll have a strong second half. You're going to get TJ Watt back. I expect with him back, you're obviously going to see better defense, because that's just how good, how important and valuable of a player he is. But the question is, how much better, right? How much better defense are we going to see? Are we going to see that defense that we expected to see after that first game of the Bengals? Or are we going to kind of see maybe a little bit better version of what we've had now? Time will tell. But I still think we'll see better. We'll be better, a little bit better defensively. I think Kenny Pickett's going to grow fairly well. Another guy I'm looking at is Najee Harris. Najee Harris, we know, has struggled this year. We know he had his foot injury, and that has probably held him back a little bit. But he's been struggling to see the field this season. His vision hasn't been very good. And you can only put so much on the offensive line. The offensive line hasn't been nearly as bad as what people thought it would be or even make it out to be. It's honestly a cop-out. Now, sure, the offensive line doesn't get as much of a push as what you would want for them to get, but still, they've created gaps and holes for Najee Harris that he's failed to take care of, take advantage of. I would love to see him a little bit more implemented in the pass game. I don't understand why they just run these halfback draws up the middle, behind the center, behind the guard, and they don't go anywhere. I don't understand why they do these little pitches to him. Najee Harris doesn't have that boast. He doesn't have that. He's not a speed guy. Utilize him his strengths, man. And sure, some of it's on him too. But Najee Harris is still a talented guy. He's a guy that can be a running back here for a while. Absolutely. But they got to get those things figured out on their own. But I really hope he has a strong second half this season, and that they're able to execute a little bit more with him and not run him in downs and situations that you shouldn't be running him in. Jaylen Warren, yeah, absolutely Jaylen Warren should get more carries. He's been pretty impressive. He's taken advantage of his opportunities. But still, Najee Harris is the guy. You drafted him for a reason, and you need to utilize him in the best way, not when it's 2nd and 15 and you run a little draw up the middle, or you do a little pitch, or you do a little reverse. No. You got to run him in different pivotal downs. Not when it's 2nd and 15, not when it's 1st and 15. No. Steelers offense is as predictable as it comes, and we know that's a big thing on the offensive coordinator and the play calling, and we obviously know how much that needs to change. And that's why also at the same time, this offense is hindered by that. The offense isn't a threat. The defense plays this offense a certain way. It's kind of how they played them too the last few years. But this is an offense that doesn't scare anybody. This is an offense that does not stretch the field, which I still fail to understand why. This is an offense that does not put their position players in the best ways to succeed. It's an offense that is not up to date in current NFL offense, and that's why that needs to change this offseason. But really with this season, guys, that's kind of why I'm bringing up this topic and asking you guys, what are things, and again, let me know in the comments, what are some key things for the rest of the season that you're looking at, that you're excited to see, that you're even looking at transitioning into 2023? Because there are some important factors. And yes, it sucks this team's 2-5. Obviously, whenever your team is struggling or bad or having some ups and downs, whatever the case is, yeah, it sucks because you always want your team to succeed. You want them to play well. You want them to vie for a title, 100%. But this is a season, guys, where it was a transition year. It was a season where we weren't really sure how it was going to go. It was a new chapter. That's what this season was. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. A handful of things had to go right for this team to be a double-digit, 11-win team, find themselves in a playoff push. A lot of things had to go right. The Steelers wanted to win this year off of strong defense and off of just getting enough offensively from Mitchell Trubisky. It didn't work out. It's not the way the league is. It's a different league. Offense wins games. Offense wins championships. Yes, you obviously still want a strong defense, of course. But this is a team that wanted to score 14 to 17 points a game and win that way. And it didn't work out. TJ Watt got hurt, and then now you have guys that aren't performing well. Is some of it to blame on Brian Flores and Terrell Austin? I don't know. But I think that certain fans, and like I said, yes, it's frustrating whenever your team is failing or struggling, of course. And us Steeler fans, we haven't really been in this purgatory for the last 18 years. But that's why with this year as well, you had to have the perspective of it could be a struggle, it could be bad, it could be mediocre, and that's kind of what it is. Plans didn't work out the way Steelers wanted it to. Guys didn't pan out the way Steelers hoped. So now here you are. I think if Kenny started early on, I think they'd have maybe an extra win or two. Absolutely. I think the dynamic he brings this offense, I think the leadership, the competitiveness, I think he brings a lot. Yeah, he's had his struggles, but I still think in terms of a game or two that they faced early on in the year that they barely lost, I think he would have been able to get them down the field maybe an extra time or two. 100%. But that's it. That's what it's about, guys. That's why I'm asking this question. Because though this season is tough, and this is a season the Steelers have not had in a long time, there's still things to be excited about. There's still things to look at. And you still want this team to finish the year off strong, with a strong note. And I said too, this team isn't far away from being to where they want to be. They're not. They got good young talent offensively. They have foundations on defense. They got to do a little bit more this offseason. They obviously got to get new coaching in there. But if they play their cards right, if they can draft well, because their drafts haven't really been that strong the last few years, they absolutely can next season get to where they want to be. 100% they can. But for us, that's why you got to have patience. Got to look for those things, not just for this year, but even for next year. And who knows, any given Sunday. I'm not sitting here saying that the Steelers can't turn things around. Absolutely. It's a hard uphill battle to climb, but I still think they'll have a strong second half, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see the growth of some of these guys that are their future. I'm excited to see these guys that are here now and also here for the future. that have been staples on this team and continue to see them ball out and grow. And that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see. But it's a struggle. It's unfamiliar territory. A lot of Steelers fans aren't really used to this kind of thing, but that's why you had to kind of have that perspective of what this season could have been and uncertainties into this year, questions into this year. And it was just kind of, okay, we'll wait and see. But that's where they're at now, and there can be good things that comes out of this year in terms of really discovering yourself as a team, really what needs to be changed. So I'm ended there on, guys. I'm ended there. Let me know in the comment section your guys' thoughts on this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts on what you are looking forward to the rest of this year as a Steeler fan. I'm ended there. I will be back tomorrow on Daniel's channel, State of the Steelers, for the Unofficial Steelers Podcast. Check it out. Give him a follow. Give this video a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button to this channel because it helps me grow. And I want to continue to do that. Reach sport fans, no matter if you're Steeler fans, sports fans of any kinds. We talk all about different kinds of sports and everything like that on this channel. Lately, it's kind of been Steelers, but I like to expand things as well on this channel other than just football or Steelers, etc., etc. So, and I definitely obviously want to include you guys, my listeners, into this show as well. So I'm excited about that. But thank you all for your support, and we will see you tomorrow for the Unofficial Steelers Podcast.